We've all heard about IQ. It's that classic measure of smarts. But what if there's a whole different kind of intelligence? One that, it turns out, might be way more important for success in your life and in leadership. Today, we are diving into the incredible world of emotional intelligence.
So let's start with a puzzle. A really common one, actually, that you've probably seen play out in the workplace. It's a situation that can be, well, pretty frustrating. I mean, think about it for a second. You've got someone who is absolutely brilliant, a total rock star at their job, super high IQ. So they get promoted to lead a team, and it's a disaster. They just fail. Why does this happen so often? Daniel Goleman, the psychologist who really brought this whole idea into the spotlight, saw this happening all the time. He realized that, yeah, IQ and technical skills are crucial. They get you in the door. But they are not what makes someone a great leader. Something important was clearly missing from the equation.
And that brings us right to Goleman's groundbreaking idea, the concept that gave us a whole new way to understand this paradox.
So in his big, game-changing book, Goleman pulled together all this research on the brain and human behavior, and he argued that the real key was something he called emotional intelligence, or EQ. He saw that people who are off-the-charts brilliant academically often struggled in their real lives, while people with more average IQs were often the ones who really thrived. It's like IQ gets you hired, but it's your EQ that gets you promoted.
Okay, so what is this stuff really? Well, at its heart, emotional intelligence is all about being able to see, understand, and manage your own emotions. And just as importantly, to see, understand, and influence the emotions of other people. It's basically about using that emotional awareness to guide how you act and to build stronger connections with people.
And look, this isn't just some feel-good, fluffy idea. It's actually baked right into our biology. You see, our brains have two minds, you could say. The thinking, rational one, and the feeling, emotional one. And often our emotional brain gets the information first and reacts before our rational brain even has a chance to figure out what's going on. The real key is getting those two to work together. And this is a perfect illustration of what happens when they're not working together. Goleman calls it the amygdala hijack. The amygdala, that's like our brain's little emotional smoke detector. When it senses danger, real or perceived, it can just take over the whole system. It pushes us to act on pure impulse before we've had a single rational thought. You ever, snapped at someone and then a second later thought, oh no, why did I say that? Yep, that was probably an amygdala hijack.
So, how do we stop those hijacks? How do we actually build up our EQ? Well, Goleman breaks it down for us into a really practical framework of 5 core skills.
Here they are, the 5 pillars. First up is self-awareness. That's just knowing what you're feeling as you're feeling it and why. Then you've got self-regulation, which is about managing those feelings and not letting your impulses run the show. Third is motivation, using your emotions to push yourself toward your goals, to stay optimistic and persistent. Fourth, we have empathy, which is that critical ability to tune in and understand what other people are feeling. And finally, all of this culminates in social skills, using all this awareness to manage your relationships and interactions smoothly. And Goleman is so clear on this point. Self-awareness is everything. It is the foundation. You literally cannot manage an emotion if you don't even know it's there. Just the simple act of noticing, oh, I'm feeling angry right now, or wow, I'm getting really anxious. That is the first and most important step. Without it, the rest of these pillars just can't stand up.
Okay, so now let's take these personal skills and see how they apply in a really high-stakes arena, leadership.
This is where the rubber really meets the road. Goleman's research looked at hundreds of companies, and he found a direct, undeniable link. The higher you go up that corporate ladder, the more emotional intelligence actually matters. For the top leaders, the C-suite execs, it's not a nice-to-have, it's an absolute must-have. And this is exactly why it's so critical. Goleman's work pinpointed 6 distinct leadership styles, and as you can see, every single one is powered by different pieces of emotional intelligence. The best leaders don't just have one style they always use. No way. They use their emotional smarts to read the situation, to read the people, and then they flex between these styles. For example, the affiliative style is all about using empathy to build harmony and is perfect for healing a fractured team. But in a major crisis, a leader might need that authoritative style to rally everyone around a new vision. The real skill isn't mastering one, it's knowing which one to use and when.
Now, as popular and powerful as Goleman's ideas are, it's worth knowing that behind the scenes, there's a pretty serious academic debate about what emotional intelligence truly is.
The big question they're asking is this:
Is emotional intelligence a genuine, measurable intelligence, like IQ or spatial reasoning? Or is it more of a mix of things, a bunch of desirable skills and personality traits like being optimistic or confident?
And this really breaks down the two main camps. On one side, you have the ability model. This was actually developed by the psychologists who first came up with the theory, Peter Salovey and John Mayer. They see EI as a pure mental ability, something you can measure with performance tests, kind of like an IQ test. But on the other side, you've got the mixed model, which is Goleman's camp. This is a much wider concept. It includes all sorts of things, like personality traits and other competencies, and it's usually measured with surveys where you rate yourself. It's a really important distinction in the field.
But you know what? Regardless of what the academics are debating, the most powerful part of Goleman's work is really about what it means for each of us, personally.
I absolutely love this quote. It just cuts right to the heart of it all. What it means is that the emotional patterns you were born with, or the ones you picked up as a kid, they don't have to define your future.
And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. This is the real game changer. While your IQ tends to stay pretty stable your whole life, Goleman argues that your emotional intelligence is a set of skills. And just like any other skill, you can learn it, you can practice it, you can get better at it. You can actually improve your ability to recognize your feelings, manage your impulses, and understand other people.
So that really leaves us with a final thought. This isn't about trying to become a totally different person. It's just about becoming more aware and more skillful with the emotions you already have. Maybe it's just pausing for 3 seconds before you reply to that email that made you mad. Or maybe it's just asking yourself, hey, what am I actually feeling right now? So think about it. What's one small step you could take?